If I had $1 for every time I've made a video about Dragapult, well, I'd probably be a millionaire, because I've made a lot of videos about Dragapult. But if you're gonna watch one, probably watch this one. I would probably say that for every video, to be honest, because, you know, I'm a YouTuber and I need your views, so anyway. But Dragapult, obviously, right now, has some glaring problems, and one of those would be its matchups into decks like Mega Absol, right? Mega Absol, not a great matchup for our boy Dragapult. In fact, let's take our online win percentage for Dragapult Dusk Noir into Mega Absol, and you know what? It's actually not as bad as I thought. 41%. What's everyone bitching about? What? Yeah, no, it's not that bad, guys. Anyway, if you have been struggling with the Mega Absol box matchup, or just any fighting type or normal type matchup in that instance, so basically just Mega Absol box, boy, do I have news for you. Hoopa EX. So this bulk card from 2023 from the set Paradox Rift, yep, that's what it says there, I can read, is a really good answer to Kangaskhan. So you might be thinking, well, why and how? So Energy Crush, this attack does 50 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. We have seen this attack, or this type of attack, time and time again. I think the most prevalent one right now would be Leafeon. Leafeon EX is a Moss Agate attack, right? Very good into the Grimmsnarl matchup, and it just does a lot of damage to decks that attach a lot of energy. So you can punish people quite heavily. But this attack isn't the main reason we are playing this card for. It kind of is, but it's also the fact that it is a fighting type, right? That is another reason. And another reason would be Terra. I think if this card wasn't a Terra, it would be really difficult for me to say you should play this card. And because it is a Terra, it gets to abuse Sparkling Crystal. And you know who else gets to abuse Sparkling Crystal? Dragapult. So you can kind of see where I'm going. I'm creating an image of a deck where you can see we are using cards like Town Store and like Arven to get these tools onto Dragapult and Hoopa EX. And what are other cards that we see in Dragapult EX every so often would be Fighting Ogerpon. I'm not going to search for the card. You guys all know what Fighting Ogerpon does. It's the Goldengo tech, right? And it's also a Terra Pokemon. And sometimes you want to attack with that card a little bit earlier. So what can you do? You can slap on your Sparkling Crystal onto Fighting Ogerpon. You can manually attach twice, or you can use something like a Crispin. And there you go. You've got yourself a Fighting Ogerpon set up, and it's ready to go. So what does this really fix for Dragapult? I think the main thing would be the Absol matchup. Obviously, right now, it's one of the more infamous decks. It's all over ladder. It's everywhere right now, thanks Tord. And Dragapult does kind of struggle into it. And I think this kind of Hoopa would fit more into a straight Dragapult version of the deck. Because obviously it is a bit more of a toolboxy kind of stuff. Get it? Toolbox, haha, because it requires tools. But I wanted to show you guys a list that I found in from Japan. So I'm gonna drag myself down here so you can see the energy. We're playing 3 Luminous, 2 Psychic, and basically what this deck is that it's a hybrid Pult deck. You're playing the Dusk Noir line, but you're also playing straight Pult aspects of the deck like Toadscruel and stuff like this, and you're also playing Arvens. You're playing full Arven, you're playing your Crystal, you're playing Air Balloon, but you're playing Artisan. So this is like a kind of hybrid deck that I would base the deck upon. I feel like this is a pretty decent list because obviously it has your Dusk Noir, so you get to keep that. But let's say you want the Hoopa and you're struggling with the matchup being the Tord box. Well, you just cut your Toadscruel. You cut your 1/1 Toadscruel, and you slap in a Hoopa and maybe a Town Store or one more energy. And there you go. You've kind of got yourself a decent answer to that deck. I genuinely feel like it's a pretty decent answer to the deck. And obviously you might be saying, like, sure, starting it is quite bad, but if you're playing Arven and if you're playing Town Store, you're probably going to be playing something like an Air Balloon. And now you might be thinking as well, like, what else can we include? What can we take advantage of with Town Store? In fact, let's just pretend this is Town Store, right? That's Town Store, TS, Team Shuffle Squad. Why did I say that? Anyway, let's pretend that's a Town Store. We have 4 Arvens, we have 2 Town Stores. What can we abuse with these cards? Well, probably TM Evo. But TM Evo isn't really the idea behind Pult because we kind of like Badoo, right? But what can we do? there's probably a stupid pun you can make there with Badoo and what can we do, Badoo to do, while disrupting them and also TM Evoing. Well, then in comes Klefki, right? I will actually search up Klefki because I think it is a really important. That's just not him. It is a really. Thank you. It's a really cool card right now. So ability, Mischievous Lock, as long as this Pokemon is in active spot. Basic Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, have no ability. And that is really important, especially in this meta. If I go over to the decks, let's take a look at how many decks rely on basic abilities. Grimmsnarl Frostlass has Monkey Dory. Ceruledge has the Rocks. Gardevoir has Monkey Dory. Charizard Pidgeot has Tatsugiri. It doesn't rely on it too much, but it's like kind of there. Guardy Jellicent also the Monkey Dory, but not so much. Goldengo Lunatone, Genesect and the Rocks. Mega Absol Box, basically the entire deck. Raging Bolt Ogerpon, basically the entire deck. Enzoroark, Monkey Dory. And I'll stop there, right? You can see where I'm going with this. It has a lot of use cases. And now you might be saying, oh yeah, but it's like, it's only good like when it's in an active position. Yeah, but it's like, what else does Dragapult Dusknoir struggle with? Well, it's a stupid duck, actually. It's kind of funny, because some big-ass Dragapult that's also a really bad parent struggles with a duck. Not this duck, though. Not that duck. Not that duck either. Am I dumb? It is Psyduck, right? No, hold on. Psyduck. Not Misty Psyduck. Not that Psyduck. It's not Mew. What's the new set called? It's called fuck, I don't play this game, man. I don't play this game enough. What is this new set called? Mega Evolutions. Mega Evolution map. Yes. Psyduck. Dragapult struggles with Psyduck. So, what is Psyduck? It prevents us from blowing up. Our main goal is to blow up, and Psyduck takes away that goal. And, well, in this kind of a list, we can now include something like a Klefki, and we have a lot of outs to actually maneuver this Klefki around. We have a switch to get it to the active. We have an air balloon to slap onto the Klefki after we use TM Evo to evolve into our Dracloaks and Dusclops, right? We have a really strong disruptive card that stops our opponent from doing whatever they want to do, and it also benefits us with this TM evolution. Obviously, we don't really want to TM Evo with something like a Badoo when we would rather just Itchy Pollen. So we're still keeping that disruptive aspect of the deck in the early game, and also now advancing our own board state with Dracloaks and buying ourselves draw power. And then we can include something like a Turo to now be able to pick up that Klefki and be able to replace it with something else. And I think this is a version of the deck that, honestly, moving forward, I could definitely see this deck have more merit over the classic Neo Upper version of the deck, because I think Sparkling Crystal right now has more ways to find it. We don't have to Hilda now. We can just use a supporter, a stadium to find our crystal. We can also use, obviously, Arven to find our crystal, but we're not just getting our crystal, we're also finding other things. If we really want to find a Dracloak, we can go ahead and find our Ultra Ball. If we're under item lock, we can use the TM Evo plus the Klefki combo like I spoke about. And I think now we have a way to deal with one, Psyduck. We are still Dragapult Dusknoir, so our Gardevoir matchup isn't like horrible. It's not great, but it's not horrible. So, like, we keep the identity of Gaudy, okay. Thumbs up. And that should be 2. 3, we beat Tortbox TV, right? We beat Tuberculosis, right? This is an anti-Tuberculosis Dragapult deck. We're able to actually beat that deck, which is, I think, the one thing that Dragapult players are constantly asking me, like, how do we beat this deck? Well, here's your answer. It's Hoopa with Sparkling Crystal, Town Store, Arven build. Obviously, you might be saying, like, sure, this deck might be a little bit worse against the mirror match because of, you know, we are reliant on Arven. But the thing is, how reliant are we on Arven, like, realistically? Like, we still have 4 Iono, and we have 3 Leaders Determination, right? It's not like we've just cut all of our draw power and replaced it with Arven's. Like, we still have the identity of the deck being this disruptive deck that can still just draw cards. And honestly, it just means we can use our Arven find TM Evo and just, you know, get into Dracloaks, which is just super nice. Obviously, they'll have access to their items, but I have been seeing a lot more Dragapult Dust Noir decks not be playing Rare Candy, so we can't really get punished for that. If anything, we can find Dragapult faster than they can, because if we find one energy, let's say we go Arven, we go grab our TM Evo, we have an energy attached to whatever the hell's in active position, we get double Dracloak, next one all we need is Dragapult energy and the crystal. And that's honestly not that difficult to get, because there's a bunch of energies. We've already found our Dracloaks, Arven can find us crystal, Townstore can find us crystal, and if anything, after that turn, we can just pivot back into a Badoo with double Dracloak set up already, or a Dusclops as well. So this is obviously just a little thing that I think the deck can improve upon. I think obviously Dragapult right now is in a questionable state, but I will not leave the deck because I think this deck is just really good. In fact, if you are doubting Dragapult, if any of you have in your heart the space to doubt Dragapult and you think Dragapult doesn't have what it takes to compete in the Mega format or in the next format, let's just take a quick count over here. How many? This is now very recent. This is like today and yesterday, what's been happening in the Japanese meta. Dragapult Dust Noir, Dragapult Charizard, Dragapult Dust Noir, Dragapult Dust Noir, alright? We're going to scroll through this a little bit. I'm pretty sure there was one more Dragapult Dust Noir. No, it's just a 3, right? How many Gardevoirs on this page? 1. Uh-oh. What is everyone's favorite girl? It's just the one. What are the other matchups? Hydreigon, pretend now it doesn't exist. That's a good matchup. That's a good matchup. That's a good matchup. That's a fine matchup. That's a fine matchup. That's a mirror match. That's okay. That's a mirror match. That's fine. That's fine. That's Gardevoir. That's fine. That's fine. All of these matchups are perfectly fine for Dragapult, right? These are all pretty good matchups for Dragapult. And obviously, we're not seeing any Toadbox over here, because Toadbox is a bit of a meta call. But then Toadbox is out of the meta, we can just cut this Hoopa and play something else, right? The Klefki is really good, and I feel like the whole Arven build kind of supports the Klefki a little bit more, because right now people are trying to shoehorn Klefki. Is that the right word? I hope I didn't, like, offend anyone. Shoehorn, Cowboys, Texas. Shoehorn. No, that would be a horse. Shoehorn. Why am I thinking, what is that thing with the horse stuff? It's like the little, like, the horseshoe. It's probably just a horseshoe, isn't it? Anyway, back off of that tangent. Instead of people trying to, like, force Klefki into a deck that it isn't made to be in, build the deck. Obviously, building the deck around Klefki might sound a little bit silly, but with Klefki countering so much of the format, maybe it's a little bit less silly than you think. Maybe Dragapult has had such a strong core identity beforehand that maybe right now the deck isn't doing as good because we aren't ready to move on from its core, right? We've been playing the same kind of deck since rotation, right? I think it's time to kind of like move forward a little bit with the deck and understand that it's not as strong as it used to be, but it's such a flexible deck that it has what it takes to be really strong. Like, for example, that Zoroark Dragapult deck, it's still really good. It beats Gardevoir, it beats Ceruledge, it's really good. It beats Goldengo. What does it lose to? The Absol Box, unfortunately, right? So if there was a deck that could beat everything in the game, obviously that deck would be the best deck in the game, but it doesn't exist. Right? There's no deck. Gardevoir probably, to be honest. Yeah, it does exist. It's just Gardevoir. Gardevoir can't beat everything. Other than Zoroark, right? That's probably a bad matchup. But Aiden Kuss lost that matchup somehow. Still impressed. Impressed at him losing that matchup. That's very impressive. Anyway, this is a bit more of like a yapping video. I kind of enjoyed it though. You know, obviously burnout can be difficult for YouTubers, and you know, somehow I've already made 100 videos on this channel, which is crazy. It feels like I've made 4 meaningful ones, but I appreciate you guys for watching the content. And if you like the content and you want to see more, smash like. I would love to make this my full-time job. In fact, right now it kind of is, right? I'm studying a little bit. This is kind of my full-time job. And if you guys want coaching, I should probably, do that. I don't have sponsors, so I may as well sponsor myself. If you guys want coaching, I offer coaching, right? I'm not as expensive as a lot of the other people. But yeah, I'll leave my Metafy link below and maybe book a session. Or join the Discord and come say hi. It's free. It doesn't cost money. In today's economy, free things are good things. So yeah, you know what else is free? Smashing likes. Smashing like.